sometimes life feels like a menu and you don't get to pick everything. You can't have it all. And it's very frustrating. I don't know. Maybe you've heard this saying that I've heard before, that you can't have cheap and fast and quality all in the same thing. Something has to give. You can get two of them, but you can't have all three. And that saying has always stuck with me. And I've also found it to be true in many ways. But I started wondering, how can you change that? What can you do differently so you can have everything? Because I don't just want the cake. I want the party. I want the people. I want the fireworks. I want the delicious icing. I want everything, the gifts, the whole shebang. And so the past year, I have been on a mission to redefine exactly how I move through life, how I create my business, and how I live just as a person. It's part of a bigger journey that I've been on for many years. I mean, I think my first mindset book I got around like 2012, 2010 or something. But last summer, I was on the verge of saying, I don't know if I want to do this business. I'm either going to have to quit because I don't like the way that things are happening, the way that I'm pursuing things. And I was guided by others that I'm not saying that they guided me in a way to do things that I didn't like doing. It's just the combination of the way that I took in what they were offering, what they were saying. They're offering what is based off of their journey at that moment, which may not be matching mine. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm either doing this all in my way or I'm not doing it at all. And so last summer, I started uncoaching myself. So this is June 2025. I started around like May or June 2024. And I started this process of uncoaching and unleashing myself. And it took a while because I had no guide. I had no one to help me with this. And I didn't even know if it was even possible. But I was willing to try because I'm much more about legacy and building foundation and staying power than I am about get rich quick next week, I mean, not that we don't all have like next month's mortgage. It's the end of the month here right now in June. Mortgage is due, right, for the next month. All of those things, yeah, they're real true things. And there's lots of ways that I can go about to achieve money for that, right? So I'm being very careful about how I choose to do that. So I want to share with you, I pulled up, this is a LinkedIn post that I had. And I'll go through and read it, but no compromises. I want it all. And so it's one that I wrote about, you can see here, it's about a week ago that I actually shared it. And I thought I would share it with you. So let's see if I can get this rearranged so we can go through and we can read it on here. Hi, I am Trisha Edwards. You can see right here, I am. And I am on LinkedIn nearly every single Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekend, sometimes I take a week off. I follow my own rhythm. That was an important thing for me. In May, I took 2 weeks off. You know what? It did not affect a single bit of what was going on in my business. It didn't affect the number of followers. As a matter of fact, as soon as I came back from that 2 weeks and started posting again, because I was breathing in my life and my moment and the things that were happening in my life. And some of those things were really good, but some of those things were like, they're just life things that we all deal with. And when I came back, I hear a lot of people complain about the algorithm. If you take a break, you'll be punished. I don't know what the algorithm thinks. Maybe I didn't get as many impressions or as many comments. I don't know. But I got to tell you, the number of people who are following me now keeps adding up very quickly. So, don't let external metrics drive your decisions. It was the best choice for me to take those 2 weeks off because, yeah, there you go. All right, so I'm going to read this to you and then I'll share anything that goes on in between the lines. This is kind of like behind the post. The triangles of trade-off. Maybe you've heard it too. It's not possible to have it all. You can choose only two. You can get cheap, you can get quick, or you can get quality. And that's what LinkedIn-ing felt like for me last year. 100%. Like I couldn't get it all. I could either get people and feel gross and do it quickly, or I could feel myself get people, but it was going to feel like a slog fest. And I was like, how do I build my rhythm, my hum, and my machine and me, and so that it feels good for me, and then the people, because I feel good, other people want to be around it. And at the same time, there are a lot more that goes into this than just simple ooh, I'm so aligned with me. That's important, and that's the important starting point that a lot of other programs that teach you how to work on LinkedIn don't actually share with you. And it's because it's not where they're an expert in. They, maybe they assume you already have that before you come. But tuning into that inner alignment and being defiant, this is me. And I say no to this. I say yes to this. And understanding the parts that are for you and not for me. Selling in the DMs is a hardcore no for me. And I didn't have the voice, the strength, the experience to say that when I first started in 2023. And partially was because I thought that was the only option. So I didn't think I could say no, even though I was like, I just kind of got to get over myself. Yeah, it didn't happen 2 years later, and I'm still not over myself. I still hate that kind of DM work. And so, yeah, that's what it felt like for me last year, that I couldn't have everything. It was impossible to have my cake and eat it too. To feel like me, for the algorithm to see me and not spend my whole day on LinkedIn. And believe me, I tried the combinations. Genuine me plus visibility, it was like 4 hours a day. Because I move slower, because I read the words. And I'm responding. And that I think I got some guidance about, make 25 new connections or 20 connections or something like that every single day. And I was doing that and make sure they're aligned, then these extra layers, which is, yeah, that's a smart thing to do too, right? It was exhausting because it took me forever to figure out, are they aligned? I don't know. I think they might be, but I hate to make that decision for somebody else. And that's really one of my beliefs right now is I can be very true in exactly what I'm going for, but I don't want to make the decision for somebody else. So I make myself more visible so that other people can choose and they can decide. So genuine me plus visibility, 4 hours a day. Yeah, that's exhausting. Literally ate up so much of my family time. Seen commenting, but using speed, but I don't really sound like me. I tried that too, where I tried to comment on so many posts, and I had my lists, of the big creators and the mid creators and the just people starting out, and then my favorite people that I like to read every day. And it's really just scanning their stuff and then, just commenting, and you don't want to, copy and paste the same thing, but it felt so disingenuous. I'm here putting something out, not because I really connect with what your writing is. And I'm putting something out just to have my name flash. It felt cheap and gross and icky. And what I felt meant that's the signal I was sending out in between those letters, between the words, the pause between that. It's really yuck. And you know what? When I did do that, I did have a lot of growth in terms of followers. I recently went through some of my growth, and I had between July 2023 when I started, and I started a little bit before that, but I kind of put July as just a marker because this is the end of June. So July to June, 23 to 24, I had massive growth in followers. I know a lot of those followers have unfollowed me because otherwise I wouldn't have over 5,000 followers. I would have close to like 8,000 followers when I added it up. So I don't have that. And I had half the growth in July 2024 when I really started doing all of this following me to today, and half the growth. But, I have had more opportunities come my way. I've had a lot more things happen, even though I might be moving slower and the metrics might say, ooh, decline, boo. They're actually more in tuned. They're more aligned. It's much better. So I tried the be me, be visible, takes too much time, be seen, do it quickly. Doesn't sound like me. And I also did the, let's control the hour and be true to myself. And then the algorithm kind of ghosted me. And I was still learning in that part of it. And I don't know if an hour is the right thing, but I also, when I was doing that, the hour and being true to myself, I thought I was missing out. There's still that little hanging behind me. Yeah, but you know what? You're not doing enough. You're not being seen enough. This isn't going to work. And I kind of felt like that undercurrent with every single one of these things, genuine me plus visibility. Oh, you're just wasting time. You're just taking time away from your son and blah, blah, blah. And then that commenting speed. Yeah, but you just don't sound like me. And then that doing it just for an hour and true self. Yeah, but you're not going to get the reach. All those things, right? So, but I am a determined person because I am working on something that's such a passion for me. It's such my thing. And when you do that, wonderful things end up happening. You have staying power. That's what you have. You have longevity. You build foundation. You create legacy. And that's what's important to me. So I'm moving at my own pace. I'm doing it my way now. And because now I've taken such ownership in my way, things are just working out. So, yeah, I was determined. I wanted the full cake, the candles, party hats, and fireworks to go off as we all enjoyed some pineapple upside down cake with a cherry on top. One of my favorite cakes. And I like the concept of, I try to put in something in my writing that gives, I like to put something in my writing that really gives a visual, something you can instantly connect to, that has kind of emotion attached to it, even though I'm not telling you what to feel, but you're going to either love up pineapple upside down cake or you're going to hate it. And so I wrote in here, the candles, the party hats, the fireworks go off, because that's like a huge celebration, right? And we're all enjoying some pineapple upside down cake with a cherry on top. Now, not only am I looking to paint the picture, I put, this is a cake that I personally love. And the cherry on top has another level of meaning. Like, yeah, I'm not only getting all of this, I'm getting all of this, I'm creating all of this, and I'm having it all. And there's still yet an even bigger bonus. And that's what I was trying to evoke in that by adding this. Now, I also, pineapple upside down cake happens to be my favorite, but as soon as I was like, oh, I'm going to write pineapple upside down cake, which is not necessarily like a candle party kind of cake, but what I loved about, unless you're me, because I normally have weird birthday cakes like pumpkin cake or gingerbread cake, something like that. That's me. But the pineapple upside down cake, I like the symbolism of it's all upside down because I feel like that's how I'm approaching LinkedIn. All upside down compared to other people or the traditional way. I see a lot more people doing it now, but my way. So that's a little bit behind that. So I stopped optimizing and I stopped optimizing and I started inner weighing it. The inner way is, it's actually a program that I have. It's a 5-week program that helps you to tame your nervous system, to really tune in and ground it. And more so than just, sometimes we talk about just grounding our nervous system and we say, oh yeah, so you can take a few deep breaths and you feel calm. No, I'm going deeper than that. It's not just calm. There's so many different states that you can take your nervous system in when you know how to talk to it in your way. And so there's some general guidelines, but then we narrow them down to very specific for each individual and what works for them. But it's more than just calming yourself, centering yourself, grounding yourself. It's how do you move into action and momentum and to play, and how do you know which one to do? And depending on where you're coming from, you go different ways. For example, if you're feeling that anxiousness of, oh, I get like this sometimes. This is more classic me. I'm less of the go quiet and do nothing. I'm more of, I start doing everything. If you're the one who cleans the kitchen, cleans the bathroom, mops the floors, and mine is normally like, let me tinker here. Let me add some more comments here. Let me do, like, I start tinkering and moving, and I don't want to sit still. Trying to change that momentum, that state of being, into something that's in the direction, I call it play, but in the direction where you're doing things and you're actually going to get results from them. They're going to be the things that really matter versus the things that you do because it's busy work, so you don't have to stay still. And so that's one of the things we do in the inner way. It's hard to go from that to that, from nervous energy doing busy work to productive momentum, actually moving something. And that play category that I call. And it's really hard to go from, because it's hard to tell the difference. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, when you're anxious, high anxiety versus excitement, they're very similar. They feel very similar in your body in terms of like your heart might be racing. You might feel like you can't sit still, right? That you just got to be doing something. You either got to dance your body, you got to move, you got to tap your foot, something, right? Click your pen if you're one of those. And those things can be excitement or they could be anxiousness. It's hard to go when that's anxious into full-on excitement. It's hard to do. So learning how to navigate your nervous system, your way of doing it, is one of the things that I do in a way. And we do a few other things, but I guess I felt compelled to make that point here for some reason. This is in behind what I think about as I'm writing these posts. So I started inner weighing it, digging into me. That meant noticing the time cost, not just in minutes, but in energy. Where was my energy going? And then working with my nervous system instead of against it. Leg taps, doodle birds, body-led positioning. These are all things like just tapping on your leg can send a signal to your nervous system. It's time to calm. It's okay. We don't need to run. We don't need to fight. We don't need to do any of that stuff. It's just going to calm you. It's going to awaken your body to its present moment where it is. But you need a little something more than that. I like doodle birds because they can give that, but they also show messiness turning into somethingness, because you literally take a doodle, throw on some legs, a beak, and an eye, and you have a bird with some personality. And body-led positioning, one of the other things, like this is a real short one on here, body positioning. So I start thinking about when I either feel, something that's along the lines of fear or doubt, or, I'm second guessing myself. I notice what my body position is like in that. But then I also notice what my body position is like when I don't have that, when I feel like full on momentum and I'm excited and, all of that. And then I mimic that. So if I was noticing like, oh, I just put that out there, I don't know if anybody's going to really want that. I'm a little bit unsure, a little hesitant, on this. I'm hopeful, but I don't really know. And so instead of like, I don't know if you notice like the difference, because I literally just put something out. I set it free, as I said today. And, yeah, so I'm having a little bit of that. And it's normal. We all have it. No matter how much you work on this stuff, sometimes you still have it. So I have it. And I don't know if you noticed, as soon as I was thinking about that, and I started touching my face and my arms, I'm a lot less animated, and I started to close in. I don't even know if you noticed, like my arms were more here. Where before, if you replay, you'll see I was out, my arms were further out. I was up just a little bit more. My head was moving more. My hands were doing a lot of the talking. That's the difference. So as I put that out and I noticed I was doing this, first thing I do is just start faking it, But it tells my body, hey, We're not protection mode. No, no, no. This is good. All these little things, they add up. And so they're small, they're simple, they're easy to do. I used a rhythm that felt like mine. It took 2 months of experimenting, another 2 months of embodying, but now, so about 4 months total before I really felt like, oh, I'm kind of figuring this out. And then there was even like a few months after that where actually, I can't even say that. Ever since then, it was around like November 2024. Ever since then, I kept going deeper and deeper and more into me. And I feel I feel like I do LinkedIn exactly how I want to do LinkedIn. And so now I show up in a way that is real. It's generative. It's aligned. I'm not plugged into LinkedIn. I'm plugged into myself. So the inner way isn't the same for each of us. There are elements that work for most. Nervous system balancing. Remember what I said. It's not just go to calm. I do safety. I do calm, clarity, alignment, momentum. I can guide myself through that whole chain in there. And also to know yourself. And that's something that I use human design for. I love it as a mirror, as a light that shines different parts of me. It doesn't tell me who I am, but I study what my human design says, and then I see me. And that's how it's kind of like, looking in a pool of water. That's not really you in the pool of water. It's not telling you who you are, but you see a reflection and new things that you wouldn't have noticed before. And also your message. That's an important thing. Some might call this your goal or your purpose, but I always think of it as your message or your passion. And yeah, so I just wanted to share what I've been writing on LinkedIn here. And, if you're interested in anything that I have to say, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel because I talk a lot more about this. And I'll put links in here if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be very happy to connect with you. See, I'm giving you all the power. I'm not going to come chasing you down because that's not something that I do. But if you want to check out my world and hang out and see what I do, here's your invitation.